Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around we are going to talk about buffs, and we're not just talking about buffs that is temporary. Well, we are going to mention some in the end that could be a little bit, or maybe you should know of, but we're talking about longer buffs that were like hours, that last maybe a whole week, that last a whole day and such, because I don't feel like there was any video on this topic. It has been covered before when these professions came out, and I kind of talked about it back then. But I wanted to make a video that's kind of covering just that and how you are going to obtain these buffs, just to get you that little bit of extra edge when you are going out there to farm. So with that said, let's jump into the very first buff, which is gonna be the mythic buff. So I thought we were gonna do this in the hub, because you can also do this in your cornerstone on your club world. I'll show you guys that as well, like kind of how you get the crafting benches. But I wanted to show you here in the hub, because this is where you are going to start out if you don't already have done these professions. I will link down in the descriptions guides for how you are going to get through the profession. So this is not going to cover that. So if you feel like you're kind of missing some steps, how you're going to get that, check out the description for guides on how to level up these professions to the max. That in the description as well. So let's jump down here, and you are going to start right over here in the fishing cave right here. This is also where you are going to get all your fish stuff, but you're also going to find the Mysterium or the Mystic, and you are going to have your little crafting bench here, and you're also going to have the lab. These two things are important. These two can also be bought, as I said, from this NPC here as well. You can also buy some wild mana and stuff like that, and you can also buy some maximizers, and of course there's this one. But we'll talk about all that stuff. That seems kind of what is all this stuff, but we'll take it once by one. But you do have the lab here. This is where you are going to convert a bunch of stuff and whatnot, but we are going to talk about the buffs. And as you can see, this is a skill 200, and these first buffs here are kind of important. I'll talk about those in a little bit, but these are important. But what we are looking for is the Mana Weaver, because that is going to give you 1% extra physical damage or 1% extra magic damage for the current day. So whenever you start this, so if you started like an hour before, usually Trove resets for you, then you only have an hour for this buff. But whenever you are going to unleash this, or whatever you say like that, that is where you are going to have the rest of the day for this buff, and you just basically consume it. So if you're going to take, of course, the little buff here from magic damage, you're going to use some of the wild mana, and you're going to use some primordial flames, and primordial flames is usually gotten from the dragonfire biome. So if you know what a dragonfire biome is, I'm going to open it up right here. This is the dragonfire biome. There's also plenty other stuff where it is, but it's going to be in some of these prime worlds as we are used to. But this is going to have the most, and so if you wanted some of this here, you can get it there. You can also get it off the marketplace, but I just wanted to show you that as well. And then of course you also have the one for the physical damage. It's going to be meteorite fragments, and meteorite fragments you get from the jungle biome. So usually on the top of the canopies. And when I mean canopies, there's basically two different types of zones in this one. It's the same zone, but some of it has like this roof on it, and the other one has like very open. So it's very easy to see which one is which. So on top of that roof or canopy, you are going to find some of these meteor fragments. So you can also, of course, get them off the marketplace. So we've covered that. There's different other buffs if you want to use those. There's, some health regen if you want to do so. But these are basically damage increasing buffs, right? So this is what we're looking for. There's also some ones down here if you want to have some of those, but we're going to look at these. So now we covered basically how you are going to obtain, the second, ingredient to it. But the main ingredient is the wild mana. How are you going to obtain the wild mana? So wild mana is going to be something you cannot obtain from like the marketplace or something like that. It's untradeable, so you have to pick it up yourself. As I showed before, you can daily buy 1,000 of the wild mana right here. But if you need more than that, you are going to go and you have to go different places. I'll show you guys that as well. And I just want to cover the mana maxers. That is going to increase how much you can carry of the wild mana. If you just want to go crazy and get a bunch of it, you can't carry that much in the beginning. So I suggest you go ahead and buy some of these, or when you basically defeat random enemies, they're also going to drop. I have about like 3,000 of them, but I already can carry like 50,000 of it. I think the maximum is 100,000 you can carry, or the maximum limit is 100,000. But that's really not the point. The point is that you are going to use some of these in the beginning, but as you progress, maybe you already have a bunch of them, and you already used them. That's fine. Unfortunately, you cannot convert these into anything else. You can do with the Minamaxers, you can actually, craft them to be a little bit bigger. When you increase it now, it's 100. But if you make it to a mega one, you can basically increase it with 1,000. So it just takes a little bit less of clicking. I guess you can just go ahead and, craft all these, and then you can increase your the stuff like that. I really wish that you could take these Minamaxers and convert it into wild mana later on, but you unfortunately can't. So now it's just sitting there in your inventory. Just remember something, you can of course take these Minamaxers. I'm just gonna go, I don't know if there is a crafting table. I don't think there's one down here. Let me just go right up here. You can take these. I was pretty sure, but I couldn't remember how you were going to do it, so I kind of forgot about it. But as you can see, I have plenty of these. I'm just gonna go ahead and put them here. But you can actually convert them into not the real mana maxers, or not the mana wild mana, but you can convert it into something subpar, which I will also cover. So just keep this in mind, that you should hold on to them. So when you get them, you are going to you can use it to turn it into some of this wild mana. So basically you don't have to go out there and farm it, but you can actually just farm regularly and you will get these mana maxers, or you can buy it from this guy. Also can keep buying them from here, this guy, and you can convert it into that. Because as you saw, there is this what is called the mana converters. These crystallized mana fragments, these are when you basically craft some potions, or when you find some of these mana maxers and you deconstruct them, and that's going to convert into this crystal mana. And then you could basically this is basically, you just get less of it. It basically converts 1-to-1. As you can see, 5,000 of these crystallized, whatever it is, they turn into wild mana. So basically, you don't have to go out there and farm the mana when you have plenty of these mana maxers. So just keep that in mind when you have that. I totally forgot about it before. I'm very sorry, but I am going to show you again how you are going to obtain, before you can get all these mana maxers and stuff. These 3 biomes is where there is mana, just wild mana in the biome. So basically, you go to Candoria right now, or jungle, or you go to Neon City biome, and you are going to find them just on the ground, and you just have to walk up to them. These little small things that basically look like also what they look in here. So they have the same icon just on the floor of the biome, basically. So you just run around, and you are just going to go around and use your interact button and interact with it as well. So it's super, super simple. These ones do have a rotation, so these are going to be different at a different place. But what they do is that it basically increases how much you harvest. That's why the buffs are here. It's supposed to show you which biomes have the wild mana, but it's also to give you some extras basically when you harvest it, or when you defeat enemies in that specific biome. So you don't even have to go run around and do that, but you can actually just get this buff here, right here, and you can actually just run around and actually get the mana just from defeating enemies as well. You won't get like a ton of it, but by defeating enemies, it's not like it's just like defeat one enemy, right, and you'll basically have mana forever. But it is going to be a significant boost to it. So if you're going to farm a lot in the Neon City biome, or the jungle, or in the Candoria, it's a very good idea to do so as well. So that's wanted to show you guys how you are going to get it. You can get your first mana here again, and you can get the mana here. So now we know how to get our mana, both also from the mana maxers by converting it into wild mana here, or getting it from the biomes and such. And now we know how to get the Primordial Flames and the wild mana, and we also know how to get the Meteor Fragments and the wild mana for this. So these are the first buffs, and pretty simple ones actually, because when you start farming and you get a lot of these mana maxers, basically, as you saw, I have a 3,000 lying around, and I feel like when I just farm like casually just for a little bit, I get like maybe 5 or so a day or something like that. It's not a guaranteed, but if you see those enemies around, those that look like bosses, but they're outside of the dungeons, those are the ones you want to defeat, and they have a pretty big chance of getting those as well. So it's pretty simple. You're going to get a lot of them over time, and then you basically don't have to run around in the biomes and doing the whole thing. You just convert it into that, deconstruct them, and then, crystallize them in right here. So just wanted to show you guys that, to how you are going to get those 2 buffs. and then we can move on to the next buff. All right, so the next buff is going to be the martial arts buff, and the martial arts buff is of course right here. We're going to do it in the hub as well, but you can again buy these things you want to have in your cornerstone or in your club world. You can buy them right here from, of course, Daniel-san. Not any references, of course, to another franchise that we're not going to mention. Of course, that's Karate Kid, so nothing to do with Trove. But you can buy the crafting benches right here if you want to have them, again, in your club world or in your cornerstone as well. The beginner essence and the quality essence, these are important. You can buy as many as you want of these, so don't worry about it, like buying these every single day, but they are important for what we are going to do. And that's of course right here for the altar. And this is also how you are going to convert it. Again, I just want to mention, maybe you saw it from the previous buff, but maybe somebody skipped ahead of this one because I made some timestamps. How guides to how to level these ones up are going to be in description. I'm not going to cover it right here, which ones you should pick and all that stuff. That's linked in the description, so you can check out how you are going to get your martial buffs up there. So cover that. That's super awesome. With the martial arts, we do have to think about two things right here, or basically there's two different things here. There is these called stands, and there's some called mantras. And these are the two different ones, so you have to look at that basically. So if I go ahead and go to this one right here, you can see right here, I need to have a mantra equipped. So I don't have anything at the moment right here. I don't have the, I have a stance and have a mantra. So if I go in here and put in the stance in my how to use section right here, it is still not allowing me to craft anything right here. But if I do change it to the mantra, you can see right here, now I can go ahead and craft it. And this is what we are going to use. So we are going to go into the shrine here. Oh, sorry, not the shrine, this one. And we are going to pick the buffs that we want. And many people use this one, for example. This is not again, it's a stance. It's basically an auto use. So that pulls all the enemies in. It's really, really, really nice. It is a little bit expensive, but I'll talk about positive karma and negative karma just in a minute. But we're going to talk about this buff. It's going to give you 2% light in your auto use slot. So you have the mantra, which you are going to convert into a long-term buff, and then you're going to have these stands in your auto use, and then you are going to use it. I'm not going to swing my thing right now. As you can see, when I basically attack, it is going to consume this one, and then it's going to pull all the enemies in, and then you want a bunch of these in your auto use. So you can use any mantra you basically want, but the one that most people use is of course, the one I have right here with the sleep one. If it gives you some health regen, that's not really what we're like. It's a nice buff, but what we're really looking for is that 1% extra light that we get from consuming this one here. So we are going to go ahead and of course you can craft some of these because you need some negative karma and some positive karma, and I'll talk about that in a second. But basically what you do is that you go ahead and you have this in your auto use craft right here. So we do have to have it as whatever here. You don't use the sleep thing, but what you do is that you go ahead back to Daniel-san, and you are going to get the quality incense. You're going to buy one of these, and then you are going to go into the relic thing here, and as you can see, now I can basically craft this one. So it's going to go ahead and craft it, and that is going to get some buffs up there, as you can see, but you want to also see it under our effect, and this is what we want. Again, you can use whatever you want for whatever buff you want. I usually like this one here, but what we're really looking for is this enlightened buff, and as you can see, it is going to be there for 24 hours about approximately, because I'm doing this at like maybe the start of the day. But this is the enlightened buff that we want. We want that extra % damage because, or extra % light on top of all we can have as well. And then this buff is pretty awesome as well. So that's how you are going to, again, you can use any mantra. You can't use the shouts. The shouts works just like the stands. I forgot to say that some of them are called shouts, but they work exactly the same. They do have the same mantra at the start of it, right? So any of those that says mantra, you can get them as well. So now that we covered that, you really want to know how you are going to get the positive karma and how you're going to get the negative karma as well. This is going to be a little, I don't know, too complicated, but you can craft 100 light karma from this little crafting bench every week. As you can see, I've already done it, and basically it's super simple. Just go to Daniel-san, buy one of these quality essences, and you get yourself 100 positive karma. Super simple, and that's how you are going to get it. You can also get some negative karma right here. I'll show you guys an easier way to get negative karma, but I'm just going to show you right here. You want to get some of these beginner essence and some of these souls, and these souls of course drop from when you basically go right here. I don't have one right now, but when you go to the composter, you can compost some of these. See if I have any of these lying around. I don't think I have any of the wall trophies, but sometimes when you basically go into here, you have some wall trophies by defeating some enemies. Those you can compost, and that's gonna give you those souls, and that you can get some negative karma. It's a little bit complicated, more complicated than it necessarily have to be, because we can get it negative karma a lot easier by converting positive karma into negative karma. So that is super simple. I'll also show you guys how you are going to obtain, more positive karma, because there is a way. You don't have to only get 100 every single week. You can get some more, but I want to show you guys the conversion as well. We need this from the mythic that we talked about before. If you see right here, you can convert 1 positive karma into 13 negative karma. So that's a lot. If I make about 7,000 positive karma, I have times, of course, 13. That's a lot of negative karma that I can use. So that's an easy way to do it, and you don't have to unlock anything. You can just go ahead and do that right here. You don't have to, do anything at all. You just go here, and you can do so as well. So pretty simple, pretty super awesome, but you can convert, your negative or positive karma to negative karma. And as I talked about before, as we go up here again, you can farm unlimited positive karma as well. This is just super easy to do every single week. If you're not it's just an easy craft. It costs you 1,000 flux. It's not really anything big deal. And then again, you can convert all that positive karma into negative, or whatever, how much negative karma you want over time, right? So basically this is free 100 positive karma without doing anything, basically. So of course there's this guy over here. He's gonna help you remove some weeds, and it also do some other stuff, but basically it tells you to go and I'm just gonna craft this one, but I can just show you right here. So basically he wants you to remove some weeds in the of course Cursed Valley biome, or Fey Forest jungle biome, and also the Forbidden Spires. And I'll show you guys that in a little bit, how you are going to do that, because you can actually don't have to have this quest. You can do as much as you want, but these are basically the biomes, and I wanted to show you guys the biomes because I couldn't remember all the biomes, but I just know it is in a bunch of biomes. So we're just gonna go to a random biome, and I'll see you guys there. But before we go, there is this overtask discipline as well. He does sell some positive karma as well for some random, of course, recipes. And how you are going to obtain these, I just want to mention this, is that you do have to find them in different biomes. He's going to have the quest, and then you have to complete that quest before you can do this. So sometimes these are grayed out and you can't see what's going on. This is for fishing, so these are basically up all the time. So if you want to farm some positive karma through fishing, you can do it right here. But the point is, this ways of these quests you already have to find them in a biome, then you have to do the quest, and then it opens up. And right now I have these, but I haven't unlocked all of them, because yeah, it's not a lot, and it costs different resources. Some of them are good deals, some are bad deals, but you're gonna get like 10 positive karma. You can get that a lot faster by just going to the biome, which I'm gonna show you actually now. All right, so we're now in the Cursed Valley biome, which was one of these ones, but I'm just gonna show you guys right here. As you can see, there is these unseelie, I don't know, these weeds at least, and when you remove one of these, it's also going to, of course, get yourself one of these one of these, towards the quest, right? But it's also going to give you, these positive karma. And you don't even have to have the quest to get these positive karma. You can't see it for my big face, but I'm actually picking up, of course, a positive karma at the moment right here. So you just run around in one of these biomes. Again, it's the Cursed Valley, or the Fey Forest, or again, the jungle biome, or again, the also Forbidden Spires. And they look like these in all the biomes, and you just remove it by using your interact button. And this is how you are going to get unlimited, of course, the positive karma, but you can get it in many other ways in that sense, but we talked about before. But this is the unlimited way, and it does take a little bit of while, but they are all over the place. And I don't think there is a biome that is better than other ones. I haven't heard about any ones that are better, but maybe somebody in the comments can say if there's a better biome for doing these unlimited ones. But this is how you're gonna get your positive karma, and you just run around and you are gonna pick all these up, and that's how you're gonna get unlimited ones. But yeah, there's, like I said, plenty of ways to get yourself some positive karma. And yeah, you don't need that much, but you can get it over time, as I talked about before. But that is how you are going to get the buffs and how you are going to get all the materials. And we can now move into some temporary buffs. All right, so we are going to talk about a little bit of a temporary buff. Those kind of like honorable mentions, because the two main things is the two other we talked about before. It is, of course, in the star chart. There is this one right here. It is significant, but it is kind of a little bit of stretch to get this one. It is 4 hours, but you do get 10% extra physical damage and magic damage. And you kind of want to get this one because you want to get that extra light. So it's kind of on the way for getting that light anyway. But there is a kind of a temporary buff. I know it's 4 hours, so it's not that temporary, but it's also kind of buffs that is not talked about, in the sense of me meaning temporary buffs. It's not buffs that people talk about too often, and I kind of want to mention. So it's more honorable mentions, I guess. I know some people use this one as a rotation as well, but you do have to get the boss and all that stuff. So you do have to do some stuff before that, but it's only every 4 hours, so I guess it's not that temporary. Another buff not a lot of people talk about is in the fish tree, and these are definitely temporaries. But for example, if you stand in plasma, you get 5% extra if you have unlocked this one. If you stand in plasma, if you stand in, for example, chocolate, you get 5% extra attack speed. And if you get this one, you get decreased damage taken if you stand in lava. I know you're also going to take damage in lava, but yeah, you can see that. And then also 5% extra critical damage if you stand in water. So basically you can drop water if you want to, and when you stand in the water, you're gonna get that extra. It's not something crazy or anything like super insane or anything like that, but it is not buffs people talk about that much. Unfortunately, it doesn't give any buffs to light or anything like that. They are just stats, damage stats, but I wanted to mention it anyway with that as well. So it's sort of just an honorable mention as well. There's a few buffs from the anvil as well, but they're mostly tied into runes and stuff like that. But there is some buffs in here as well. I won't bore you which ones it is, because they're kind of like not super useful, but there are some buffs in here that has a little bit of a significance, but it's not something that I want to go into detail with. So I'm just gonna like honorable mention them for that basically. So, but there's some buffs here, and you can go check it out, of course, in the rune anvil that you can also get in, of course, in your cornerstone on your club world as well. The last thing I want to talk about is about ring polishing. You can, of course, get some temporary buffs here. It is for the whole week, or for I think it's 7 days if you have not patron, and 10 days if you have patron. So they're a little bit longer buffs, but they're not really significant in that sense. Like, they're kind of like long term, if you could say it like that, but they become an honorable mention because that they're kind of useless in a sense. Sorry to say it, but they're kind of useless by using, this one, and you have to do it all the time. When this first came out, I was really hoping that this was going to be new class, buffs to the class gems basically. So we have these class gems, right? And I'm really hoping that these were going to be new effects for those, so we're going to get different ones. But unfortunately it wasn't that. It's kind of just like, yeah, we are not really using these at all. I don't think anybody really go crazy. You have to polish 100 rings or 100 times for polishing rings and for like the batch, right? But I think that's the only way people are going to use it. But yeah, I also wanted to mention that what was in there as well. So kind of buffs that hasn't been talked about very often or lately, I feel like, and I just wanted to mention that for you guys. But the two most important ones were of course, the ones we talked about before, the potion, and also, of course, the mantra basically, and also the stance if you're going to use that as well, or shout. Anyways, that was the buffs and damage buffs you can have in Trove. That had gone a little bit under the radar in the sense of not been mentioned that often. So I just wanted to remind you guys with some honorable mentions at such and moving forward. So hope you guys enjoyed it. There's timestamps, all that stuff. Again, go check out the guides in the description for the different professions as well, because they also give mastery. So even though you're not going to use it, it's still mastery, and they're awesome. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If I missed any of the buffs, make sure you comment down below, and people can, of course, check that stuff out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!